Hello there and welcome to another exciting episode of The Food Chain with me, Emmanuel Bright Kweku. All too soon we've come to the end of yet another year, and 2024 has indeed been an exciting year in Ghana's agricultural space. For today's episode of The Food Chain, I will be joined by my colleague Jesse Ayram Agbapo, where we take a second look at the stories we brought to you for the year. Jesse, I hope you are well and a happy new year.
Many happy returns to you, Bright, and our viewers. 2024 has indeed been an exciting year with a lot of happenings in the agri sector, including the unprecedented dry spell that ravaged several acres of land, leaving farmers distraught. Well, let's delve right into the conversation for today. Before we take a look at some local stories, let me first take you to Switzerland, where my colleague Emma Davis brought us an interesting story of cattle in Switzerland enjoying a daily massage and are fed with beer.
What would be your reaction if you found out that the beef you were consuming was harvested from cattle that ate feed mixed with beer? Sounds weird, right? How about the cattle being massaged twice a day with beer? Well, the Kabierhof, a farm located at Stern, a small town between the Rhine River and Lake Constance in Switzerland, operates with beer. Seb Dalla, a farmer and owner of the farm, has developed a very niche brand and market. He rears barely 30 cattle in luxury and sells to an elite clientele. Due to the language barrier, Seb's son, Nicola, explains the concept of feeding their cattle with beer byproducts and why the cattle get a morning massage with a beer starter and an evening massage with rapeseed oil.
So we massage the cows and feed them based on beer products, like everything that is waste from the brewery. That starts with the pressed grains and goes on to the beer hefe. It's like a liquid of the yeast that is left off in the beer.
Okay, what led to this? Why this initiative?
So, the owner of the brewery in Appenzell is someone who has a lot of ideas and wanted to start with something new. And local products is something that is very important in Appenzell. So he wanted to make the beer out of local grain. And so he started to search for farmers who can grow local grains here. And then my father came into the game, and he started with producing grain for the brewery. And then the owner of the brewery had the idea to try something new, like something similar to Kobe beef. And then my father said, okay, he likes to try this. He began with 4 cattle and started with the system like massaging them with the products and feeding them with the beer products. And but not like in Kobe beef, he would like to use the whole animal, making nose to tail, and held the animals in free and give them space to them so that the animal welfare is guaranteed.
So how many times do you scrub them with the alcohol?
Yeah, so the massage is 2 times per day, so they get feed in the morning and in the evening, and the massage is at the same time, so when the cows get their feed.
That was an interesting story by my colleague Emma Davis. Now let me take you back to Ghana and pay some critical attention to some local stories we told for the year. I would like to take you to the Menia Palace, where as part of Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II's 25th anniversary, the Queen Mother's in the Asante Kingdom threw a deba to showcase the rich culture and cuisines of the Ashantis.
Asante kotokono no edina grofo ti di eti pempem achi mokobu ene je na aha ana momone ya de yato so de na aha ene momone ne nkatemole estati twi ene nwo a eye de pa ene ti na mo ba ya na mastate a na meye no fia fi na mo de no ebeguso na won so na mo de momone ene je na etso asa no we hwe eguso na de atwi Asante aduane no Eje original. The before aduane ankasa and ye no ho no. Na ye ke sante aduane di a aka ye to nuhu body ampesi enu nkontombe ne pe. We ye de pe be ka ho. Aha. Buton nkontombe no atoton mamone. E wo gem entoto ne gas so. Jam toto ne gas so. Ya toto ne ejem gas na mem. Ana say wa so jana de atum. So ate. Aha, na wisie no. We yi amano nyo na de atwim. Na wisie na ba fa. What I say.
So she's been telling me about the process for making a top. You as you can see her doing, she's trying to grind the granite paste with ripe plantains, and then interestingly she added onion leaves. Normally people add the onion bulb itself, but this one she's adding onion leaves. We'll grind everything together and then garnish it with some palm oil and then onions to make this food very spicy. Well, where I'm standing is the Aguna, and this we are going to find out what the people of Aguna have to offer in terms of their food. And also, just so you know, Aguna is where the revered chief, the priest of Ashanti, that's of Fanoche hails from.
Akauno from Tosamwe. Anna, fair, Yadeba Bosso. Fair, Papa.
I'm trying to taste akapinchi for the first time. It looks like a top. No, this actually tastes good. It's just like a top, but it's a roasted form of a top. And definitely, if you try this at home with anybody at all, just get your plantains and then roast them. Add your granules, your pepper, and everything. Make a special akapinchi.
Maybe I try any yanwa. It's in your friend will go, you have to tune with Jim. Aha. A friend will go. Ya so yeja. And I did a main care with Jim. And he had tree and Mako, Macono so you're green, your baby, I'm a conny jane, I have banning in a green. Ya have ban so you're green. Ya tea and got here. Your parents soon ye, and I young wound soon ye. It's why you'll be the other woochie at the aneno. Now the one, a busso. Two we are watching Katia boom. Now what a train I have been what to travel pair. Ebuso we do with Jane I have Ebuso. Now I don't Katia so Ebuso.
Bright, it's sad you didn't invite me to taste this scrumptious meals. Catfish contributed 14% to the total aquaculture production in Ghana from 2015 to 2019. The first half of 2022, however, saw a sharp increase in the cost of catfish. This increase is linked to a rise in the price of fish feed components. Despite these challenges, here's the story of a catfish farmer who is sojourning on with her 70,000 capacity catfish farm here in Accra.
It got to a point in time catfish was declining in Ghana, and it's a delicacy people really love. So the thought of adding another income to my salary, yes, was go into farming. And as someone who asks why catfish farming, I before I started with the catfish farming, I contacted one officer at the fisheries department. He's called Kenneth Lutrot, Uncle Kenneth Lutrot. Mm-hmm. So he's the one who took us through that of who gave us the chance to study both catfish and tilapia. But looking at catfish is much better to work with than tilapia. Tilapia is very fragile. Okay. Yes, when with catfish is thermo-aquatic. That means they can both live in the mud and they can also live in the fresh water. Okay. Yes, so catfish was preferable good to me. Yeah. So I chose catfish. Yeah.
So it means before you started, you got to learn about it.
Yes,
and
I had
to learn on the practices.
Yes. At first, I didn't have any knowledge about catfish. Apart from knowing fish is a source of protein. Yeah. There is so much a source of protein for everyone. I didn't have any knowledge about catfish, so I had to learn. So we started with this concrete tanks. Then, as time went on, we moved on to the tarpaulin tanks.
Right.
Yes.
How much would you say you invested to start with the 6 concrete tanks?
With these 6 concrete tanks, to tell you the truth, the investment that went into it, I cannot pinpoint and give it to you.
Okay.
But for a whole, let's say a 1 tarpaulin tank,
Yeah.
a whole one, to set up a whole 1 tarpaulin tank is around 5,000.
5,000 Ghana cedis.
Ghana cedis. Yeah, that is without fingerlings.
Okay.
That is without fingerlings. So a whole tarpaulin tank like this for fingerlings can take about 1,000 of fish in it.
Okay.
Yes.
1 tank.
Yes, 1 tank.
Right.
And 1 fingerlings is just 1 cedi, 50 pesos.
Okay.
So by 1,000. So let's say for you to get a whole 1 tarpaulin tank with water, fingerlings, set it up, have to get about 22,000 Ghana cedis.
Incredibly fascinating story to tell. For my second story, I'll take you to Asante Achimagogo in the Ashanti region, where we take a look at the cattle, header and farmer feud that has been happening over the years. It has claimed lots of lives. The farmers continue to fight over resources to fend for themselves and even their families. Let's take a look. Asante Achimagogo, Setre, Afram Plains, and its adjoining districts have over the years been the grounds for long-standing feud between farmers and herders, instigated by inadequate access to resources like land, water and pasture for livestock. The conflict has claimed innocent human lives and destroyed properties including cattle and farms. The clashes threatened education in the area with the abrupt shutdown of local community schools. Konti Hine of Agogo, Nanakwame Intim says the herders' behavior had far-reaching consequences, insisting their abhorrence to transhumans.
We do crop farming to sustain life. So if in this process to sustain life, we are killing the same life we have to sustain, it doesn't make sense. So it simply means that we are like trying to go forward, meanwhile, we are going back. If you look at the benefit derived from the livestock industry, you cannot count from the owners to the butchers, their families, to the traders, to the catchers, to the veterinary service. The income generation is very big. But where someone is dying, you will not see any benefit there.
These clashes have been primarily fueled by the changing climates, which has since forced many nomadic herdsmen to travel down south following severe desertification up north. Natural resources like water and fodder for the animals are heavily depleting as many of these herders continue to keep a large number of flocks. Their inaccessibility to fertile land down south has been the bone of contention between the factions. Vincent Kusiche is with the Department of Forest and Silviculture Management, KNUST.
Indigenous, their access or land right use is vested into the allotted title of the land. Because they are indigenous of the place, by law or through inheritance, they have land that they can use, which they don't rent or they don't buy from anybody. But if you're a settler, they use the authority at the same time, but they go and see the landowners and then ask permission to get access to the land, and then they are allocated land.
Quite a disturbing story there. Well, my next story focused on the local meat industry in Ghana, where some meat producers share how the influx of imported meat products is affecting the local industry, with the local meat markets projected to grow by 9.33% between 2024 to 2029. Some meat producers believe this projected growth is unachievable due to the challenges facing the industry.
Well, the industry is doing well because there are a lot of new entrants. But what is happening is that people have the impression that there's a lot of money to be made in selling meat. So without doing proper checks and their homework well, so people come into the industry. So what is happening is that there is tending to be more supply than the off-takers. So it is affecting the profitability of the business, because people, when you have animals which have to go, you will sell them at a discount. Yes, not necessarily at an economic rate, but you sell it at a discount. When that happens, those others in the business are also forced to reduce their prices, and that may affect the long-term sustainability of the business itself and the industry. Yeah.
The influx of people into this business now, is it affecting the quality of meat that we are producing?
In some instances, yes, because a lot of people just are looking for business opportunities. Somebody will tell him that, hey, if you do piggery, is good, I hear it's profitable. Without any more analysis, they just get in and start doing it. So after having spent so much money doing it, then you definitely have to dispose of the animals. So that is usually where the challenge is, because people will just get in without analyzing what exactly it is that they want from the business, how they are going to run it, and what should be done to ensure that it is properly done and sustainably done. So those are some of the main challenges.
I think another key thing over the years has been the fact that people are easily geared towards buying imported meat products as well. We've been speaking about purchasing and promoting made in Ghana goods. How is that going?
Well, the imported meats honestly are a big challenge and a headache, because most of them come in at a cheaper cost than we can produce here. Because what we learn is that most of those farms outside in the EU and so on, they are subsidized, and they store it, and after a while they need to get rid of it, so they would sell it, and they have advantages of economies of scale. One farm will probably have 100,000 pigs, whereas here a pig farm with even 500 pigs is considered a big farm. You understand? The economies of scale, you just can't match that kind of size. They will definitely be cheaper than you when they are producing at scale. So if we allow them to just keep coming in, we will kill our industry here, because the industry is still growing and therefore cannot match and compete with already mature industries. So we need to be very careful about how much meat we allow into our market and at what price, if we want our own industries to grow.
Well, Jesse, as a meat lover, I was actually hoping you could bring me some of the meat. But anyways, to my last story. This was rather a crucial moment in Ghana's agricultural history, where close to 1 million farmers lost their farms in 8 regions of the country. I'm talking about the dry spell that hits this country. It brought untold hardship on farmers and even food vendors. It threatened food security. Let me take you to Ghana's regions of the north, specifically in the Techiman area.
Ghana's agriculture is mainly rain-fed. Most parts of the country have 2 planting seasons dependent on the rainfall pattern. The major cropping season is between June and August, while September to October is the minor. Most farmers were expecting their crops to be ready for harvesting in August. Unfortunately, most crops have failed to fruit due to prolonged dry spell, with farmers losing their investments. Agabuga in the Pro-East district of the Bono region is among the worst affected communities by the dry spell in the country. Most people here are farmers who have heavily relied on agriculture for their livelihoods. Campena Vetra, who is in his early 30s, made a decision to expand his maize farm from 3 to 5 acres for this planting season. With the heavy investment on labor, seedlings and chemicals, he was expecting a bumper harvest, but the young farmer is witnessing the opposite.
We were expecting rains in June and July, but it never came. The maize should be fruiting by now, but it is not. The weather does not support farming. It may lead to shortage of food on the market.
Walking through the farm, the soil is dried up. Most of the maize plants here are turning brown from the green leafy ones normally noticed with healthy plants. The corn ears which house the cobs are dried, affecting the development of the kernel. Jacob Naja weaves through his yam farm as he hopes for the rains. The delay in rains have prolonged the readiness of the tuber for harvesting, but the farmer continues to be expectant. With good rains, the tuber could be ready for market in the next few weeks.
We farm maize and granules as well. They are all not doing well now. This year, we will need the government support to cater for our families. We pray they have pity on us.
To many farmers, poor irrigation continues to be the bane of productivity, with no deliberate effort by successive governments to deal with the situation. The government's One Village, One Dam program, which was aimed at ensuring continuous supply of water for irrigation, failed to help mitigate the dry spell period.
A rather devastating story. As we've come to understand climate change is here to stay, we hope the authorities take a critical look at adaptive measures and technologies to save our environment. In light of that, my final story focused on smart snail farming. This is one of the alternatives farmers are adopting to continue production of snails in a changing climate to contribute to food security.
There's a saying that out of passion comes something significant. I find myself into this because of my passion for environmental sustainability. After my university, I worked with a couple of organizations like EPA, Forestry Commission, Ghana Water Company, and then Ministry of Food and Agriculture. And one notable thing I realized is that sustainability has been an issue. So I decided to find a way in order to contribute to my quota. So I applied for university in Germany, the University of Koblenz, Landau. That is 2018. So I decided to register an organization that is co-partner with my brother, and the name is African Foundation for Climate Change and Sustainable Development. So you can imagine the name, Climate Change and Sustainable Development. I had admission and everything, but unfortunately financial challenge came in. So because of that, I was not able to pursue that. So I decided to, do something in Ghana. So I started by building, farmers, enhancing their resilience in order to adapt into the climate impact. Climate change is having a toll on the agricultural sector. So my first encounter was to construct a greenhouse for someone. But then before constructing that greenhouse, I went for the training with AgriHouse Foundation. I did online research, and I also did other training with other organizations as well. So my first contract was $10,000. After executing it successfully, I said, wow, this is why I didn't go to the university outside. So I need to pursue this dream. And here we are today. Statistically, as we speak now, Ghana, we consume about 15,000 tons of snails every year. But unfortunately, we are able to supply locally 2,000 tons, meaning that the 13,000 tons we import it. Meaning locally we've not quenched the demand, and so therefore we need to help, meet all this demand. And one unfortunate aspect is that we cannot rely on the natural ecosystem, that is the forest alone, to get the snails, because we are all aware of what is going on. Climate change has disrupted the agricultural sector, and the place that is wet enough to breed snails, they are all dry and most of them are flooded. So we need to leverage on artificial ecosystem, creating an ecosystem or environment that is synonymous or similar to that of the natural environment.
We've been here for a few minutes, but tell us what went into building this greenhouse.
Well, a lot of things, thoughts, calculation, analysis, survey has come into play in siting this greenhouse. The first thing we need to look at is the direction of the wind. Yes, because as I said, climate change has impact in whatever we do. So siting of the site, we need to look at the direction of the wind. Then we need to also look at the soil, because snails, they do well in sandy, loamy soil, because they are animals that are nocturnal, meaning that they only come out and they are very active during the night. So we look at the soil that is good for them. Then we also look at the materials. In building, we also look at the material that can withstand corrosion or erosion, and that's of the rust. So sustainability needs to come into play. And let me talk about the challenges in general. Has to do with how you can able to detect disease, among the snails. Predominantly, we have nematodes or bacterial infections. These are some of the common diseases that affect them. But this farm is not having any of these diseases because of how we took time to treat the soil.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, this is a long-term project.
Yes.
In the event that happens, what are some of the methods you are looking at to sort of address the situation?
Good. So the most important thing is you need to be monitoring them with time. At least a week you need to come around to inspect the farm. And when you suspect anything like bacteria or nematode infection, you then probe further to isolate them. Yes, you isolate them before it's spread.
A brilliantly sustainable and climate smart way of nurturing snails. Already I want to make my fufu ready and have me some chunks of snails to enjoy my favorite soup, palm nut soup. I'm Jesse. I'm pretty sure this year has been educative, informative and entertaining. What I term edu-infotaining.
Absolutely, Bright. This year has been an exciting journey with all of you. You can catch all the episodes for this year on our YouTube channel. It's Food Chain on Joy News. You may as well want to tell us stories you'd want us to focus on, and we'll gladly consider.
And so this has been our final episode of the Food Chain for the year 2024. We hope to come your way same time next week as we continue to tell the stories that matter most to Ghana's agricultural space for the year 2025. My name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku, and I've been doing this with my colleague Jesse Aram Agbapo. See you same time next week.